Guys, this is Jason914 and today I am back with another video where I am going to tour the entries of the Gawang Pinoy contestants. And the theme for this contest is Christmas build, so Merry Christmas guys, it's December 25 after all. I hope you are having a wonderful time in your homes and I hope you guys have a good 2016 up ahead. So before anything, I'm just going to say that this is actually the second time I'm recording this video. I recorded a version of this video last night, but I was just so sabaw. I mean, the words that I was saying to describe the builds were really embarrassing, so to speak. So I'm just going to re-record this judge round video, and the thing that I'm going to say here is there's no more element of surprise because I got to view the builds already. So I'm just going to go through the builds one by one, point out the points that I raised, and I'm just going to give my verdict straight away. I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm touring the place and trying to figure out what's going on. I'm just going to straight up go there, give my opinion, and without further ado, let's begin. The first one on my list is Technoworrier. Okay, let's go. Technowarrier's build is some Christmas town where you spawn on the very bottom right here. And there's a Christmas tree right there, and the idea is, let's just go there so you can see the welcome that he put up. I think this is a portal by which players go into. Let's just fall. Whee! Welcome to AdoboCraft's Christmas Town. So he built this really nice passageway that goes up the mountains. And the thing I like about this passageway, aside from the interesting design, is that he puts supports in them. A lot of people forget that. When they put passageways in mountain areas, they forget to put the supports in. They think it's just defying gravity of some sort. But he put supports, I like it. And over here he has a farmhouse. I like the way that he was able to design farm-like huts, even if it's very simple. And the only thing I had to comment about this farm area is I wish you put a nativity set in this, because after all, the baby Jesus was born in a manger and it would have been appropriate. But anyway, I like this Hall of Fame like staircase that you go up in. It's a really nice way to put the quartz and the wood combinations, and it leads up to perhaps what is your most beautiful house. But while the house is furnished well inside, I wish there was a way to access the second floor, and I wish you furnished the second floor as well, because if it's a two-story house, I'm expecting it to be a two-story house. And it's a nice central park there, nice little houses there. The thing I like about your houses is that there's a unifying theme, but they're varying shapes and sizes. There's a big house, there's a small medium house, there are small village houses, but they all speak medieval, and I like that about it. So there's even this squarish house, which I think is a different thing. It's actually a library. Interesting. This is a Christmas market, and this is one of the creative details that I'm looking for. Something that I didn't ask you to do, but you did it anyway, because it was an interesting idea that only you thought of. And it's very appropriate for Christmas, and that is to create a Christmas market where there are shawarma shops, food trucks, and some bazaars. And it's very interesting how you put it that way. This is a nice row of houses, by the way. I love the way that they are connected to each other. Your parole is on a skyscraper. Now, this is one of my major criticisms from this build, because what I wish you did here is made a clock tower instead. Because when you go here, this is the shot by which I take pictures of this build from, where you get to see the nice houses, the church, and the Christmas tree. But when you look at the parole, it just looks a bit awkward from the side. It doesn't look nice. So I really wish you made it a clock tower instead, but it's still a very detailed building. I just wish, yeah, it's a good parole design, it's a good building design, but I wish it was a clock tower rather than it dangling over there. And over here you have the gingerbread house and a Christmas tree. Now this is an interesting detail that I like, because it's very appropriate for Christmas. There's even coal in the back because it's for the naughty kids after all. And it's like the Christmas market. It's something appropriate for Christmas, and you're the only one who did it. So you're going to get full marks for creativity and maybe originality. And this is your gingerbread house. Let's take a look inside. It's a bit blank. I have to say, I wish you did something inside, but it looks beautiful from the outside. And it's sitting on a floating island like most of the major builds. And this is one of the defining features of your work, because even if it's physics defying, I really do like how you made these floating islands look legit. I mean, like the floating island designs of Minecraft. And it's a very cool way to number one, create a lot more space than you normally have, and number two, allow yourself to create these awesome bridges, pathways that lead up to the landmarks. So that's a very well thought out of concept in order to increase space. Your church, I think you went for Pinoy here, because it looks like a typical Filipino church. The one I have in mind is the one, if you know the Mall of Asia, SM Mall of Asia, they have a church near the SMX Convention Center. It looks exactly like this one. It's sitting on a floating island. The interiors are pretty decent, and you actually have a nativity set, and you know, it's pretty good, but it would have been better in the farm, I'm telling you that. And my criticism for the church is surroundings. I mean, you focus so much on the front, and you just made the back feel a bit bare. I wish it were 360 like your other builds. But it is a good church, and overall, this is one of the top contenders that I found when I was touring the builds. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. Let's go to Warren. What do you have for me, Warren? Well, let's see. This is a decent build. It's got a lot of houses. He fit all of these builds in the plateau, which is an achievement in itself. But first of all, well, let me just set the time today so that you can have a better view of it. This is the church. I like the interiors. It's simple, but the exteriors, number one, it doesn't look like a church because of the fancy coloring. Yeah, it just doesn't look like a church. The houses, I have to say, first of all, it is, as you can see, pretty bare. Just beds and a chest. Number two, there's no unifying theme among the houses. There's a modern here, there's these pointy rooftops, there's wood, there's ultra modern, like these blocky houses right here. And the thing that annoys me most is this. I mean, I really wish that you were able to flatten. I wish it were multi-level rather than having a slope floor, because that just doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It's not realistic. So the houses don't have a unifying theme. The parole, I like how it's 3D, but the X design kinda doesn't make it look like a parole. It kinda looks like a superhero logo, but I love how it's 3D. Christmas tree is probably the best thing you have. It's well decorated, but I wish it were more triangular rather than straight and constant height. So overall, it's a decent build, but there are lots of minor things that you have to perfect in the next time you enter the Gawang Pinoy contest, such as more cohesion. You have to stick to a theme, dude. You can't have modern along with traditional, along with wood, along with ultra modern. It just doesn't work. So you have to make your theme a bit better, a bit more cohesive. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Chester. This is the one that's leading in the vote round, and the big reason for that is the main landmark that it has, which is the church. But I'm not going to go to the church yet. I'm going to start in the very bottom. So starting out at the bottom, he had some major balls to build the houses along the slope. A lot of people built the houses along the edges of the ray, which is very almost flat, and in the plateau, which is really flat. But this guy built it along the slope, and that's what I like to see. The balls to do something that's hard and yet very rewarding. And the houses themselves have incredible detail in them. I love the unity because they're all made of wood, which is realistic because of all the spruce pines in the area. And if the interiors are well thought out of. I mean, this is a pub. It looks like a proper pub with a bar and everything. There's even a restaurant with a view deck. Although, in a snowy town, I don't think you'd like to have an open air area. That's one thing I have to say. You'd like a closed area with fire, not an open view deck. Should have been glass if ever. But anyway, the path leading up to the center of town is wonderful. I love the sloping road with candy canes as lamps. It's really magnificent. In the town itself, you have more houses. The houses are one of the best design houses in any build in this competition, and the fact that they have a unity with them just makes them even better. The gingerbread house, I like the detail from the outside. This one, incredible skill to make that kind of detailed work, and the dots just make it look like a proper gingerbread house. But I wish it were bigger because you have this amazing church, and I wish it were just a tad bigger, just to match the church. But I think what they did is tried to make them the same size as a typical house, which is fine, I guess. But if it's one of the main things that I wanted you to build, and I really wish that you made it as equal to the church in terms of scale. The church itself is it. There are no words to describe this aside from magnificent and fantastic. It's the best individual build this competition has, hands down. And it's not the beauty is not just about the detail in the outside, the towers, the incredible stained glass design, the columns. It carries on all the way to the inside with the chandeliers, and look at these pillars. Look at the detail in that, the effort. It takes a lot of skill to do that. And I like the chair design. I like the priest chair design. Looks like a proper church. You did so well with this, and I'm really gonna give you credit for that. And I think this is why you're leading in the vote round, because of the church. Really well thought out of. Now the Christmas tree. It's a simple Christmas tree. I like the shape of the Christmas tree, but the thing is, one of the things I like about your build is how you grew your own forest, and because of that, I love the way that it wraps around your build. But the problem is, it kind of makes your Christmas tree blend in. There's nothing that separates your Christmas tree from the other trees, aside from those Christmas balls. It's not enough. There should be some spirally thing going around it, I think, just to make it stand out more, because it's way too green here, and Christmas balls are just simply not enough. But I like the tree in itself. It's simple. It's pretty good. I just wish it more elaborate, given the choice you took of making these trees. And overall, I mean, the completeness of your build isn't there, because you cannot have a side like this exposed. If you're going to allow people to go here, you have to complete the church, and quite frankly, you didn't. And while the front is good, the back is just, it's not complete. I mean, there's an open top area. I wish you finished it at least. There's a nice lamp area here. And I think what this guy did is he grew his own trees, and what you failed to do is grow back some of the trees, and because of that, the sides around the area just look so bare. I mean, it seems that all the action is focused on that area where you built. I mean, the church, the town, the houses, and the walkway going up, but everywhere around it, because you cut down all the trees, it's pretty bare. So what I wish you did was at least grow back some of the trees in the very bottom part, just to make it less bare, just to make it more interesting. Now, finally, the parole. Your parole is perhaps the best looking parole in terms of design, and I like the way that it is supported by these pillars. It looks kind of like a Hollywood poster. And when you take it that way, when you take a picture of this like this, it goes well with the church. Anyway, that's my comment for the build. It's got the best individual build, the best church, probably the best parole, probably one of the best towns, but it's bare along the sides because you cut down all the trees. And there are some parts that are not complete, such as the back of the church. And I wish the gingerbread house were a tad bigger. And finally, the Christmas tree should be more elaborate, given that you decided to go with a lot of similar trees in the background. Okay, Now let's move on to the next one. Let's go to, have I done Technoworrier? Yes, I have. Bossman. So Bossman has created a little town here. But you don't start here. I've already toured this place, so I kind of know where to go. You start at the very bottom right here, and then you go all the way up. And it's a very interesting approach that you start from the lake, but the thing is, unlike Technoworrier, I wish he made it physically possible. I mean, there should be supports right there. If it were floating, I wish you made it look like it were really a floating bridge, a floating staircase, but it should have some supports in that. I like the way you scattered gift boxes around. That's a nice touch. The town itself, the Christmas tree, it's fat, it's short. You should have made it thinner if you're going to make it that size. But overall, what you should have done is made it taller. The houses themselves are okay. The interiors are good. The houses themselves, solid. But I wish they were closer together. I wish the house was not there; they were here. And I like the way that they're closely packed, so it feels like a proper town, a realistic town. I like the candy canes, but it's not the best. It's not the best candy canes out there. The church itself, the interiors of the church I can see with these checkered floors are good, but there's also the stained glass effect. But the bell tower is just too fat. What I wish you did here is a dome rather than a bell tower. I like the way you put a bell, but it just isn't realistic to have a church with that kind of bell tower that's so fat and dominating. The gingerbread house, though, is what really gets my gut because it's small, it's rushed. There was not a lot put into this. It's pretty bare. There's not even a bed inside. So I wish the gingerbread house were better. The parole, let's take a look at the parole, shall we? The parole is, I wish the star was shaped much better than that because this is rounded, this is pointed, and this is just too short. So I wish it were better shaped, the star. But overall, it's a good build. I like the Christmas gift boxes scattered all the way around. I like some of the house designs that you put up. I like the interiors of your church, but some details like it should be a taller tree. The bridge should be supported. The better shape for the parole, the bell tower, and the very mediocre gingerbread house. They have to be sorted out, but you did pretty well here, and I am really pleased with the effort you put in this build. Okay, now let's move on to the next. Zusdoto 26. This is one of the ones that I love so much, and it's not really doing that well in terms of the vote round, but hear me out here, because this guy put all of his builds along the plateau, the flat area of the mountain, and that takes a lot of planning to do because there's very limited space and it's slanted, but he pulled it off. The first thing he did right was this parole, which is diagonal. It's not easy to do, but he didn't just do it. He even made it redstone powered, which is pretty fantastic. And I like the house designs of this one so much. You probably have the best gingerbread house. Look at that. That's what a gingerbread house should look like. It should be just over decorated because of it's full of the candies. And the house designs of this one are probably the best I've seen. You could tone down on the banners a bit slightly, but it looks really realistic. That's so redundant, really realistic, but it looks proper realistic. And the theme of the houses goes so well with each other. I just wish you toned down on the banners. They are furnished inside, which is pretty good to see that you didn't shortcut some of the methods. Christmas tree, it was forced on a thin Christmas tree, but I can appreciate it. It's pretty good. Thin, narrow, has gift boxes in the bottom, and it's in the center of town. And that's what I like about this. Is exactly the shot that I want to see. So you have a Christmas tree in the very middle, and all around it are houses that are closely packed with each other. This is a realistic town, and something I like. The church itself, it's a decent church. It doesn't match Chester's church by any means, but it's realistic in that it's a pointy roof church that's quite fitting for a snowy area. The interiors are decent, but with a stained glass in the pews. It's a good church. Gingerbread house, probably the best gingerbread house there. Parole, it takes a lot of balls to do that, and you pulled it off. And again, this is a theme that I like. Two town centers, the Parole and the Christmas tree, surrounded by houses all the way around them, and they're connected. That's planning right there. That's good planning on your part. And the houses, it shows that even though the houses are small, you could do a lot of things with just small spaces if you design them properly, and they look fantastic. And I like the way that you put the view ridge right here. Pretty good. So this is perhaps the most balanced build out there because the houses are great. The church is good. Christmas tree is great. The gingerbread house is probably the best one we have. The parole takes a lot of balls to do and you pull it off, and the plan of the town is magnificent. If anything, there's just not anything. There's no wow factor immediately. That's the thing. That's probably why it doesn't appeal to a lot of people straight away. But it appeals to me as a guy who loves planning cities in Minecraft, because this is a well pulled off town. It looks realistic, and it's very balanced. And there's a quote that, as I say, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And individually, they aren't really that spectacular, but as a unit, this is a really good town, and it's a proper contender that. Okay. Now, I think we're moving on to our last build, I believe, Real Shaku. This is one of the ones that I liked the best. First of all, his house design, I love it. I love the exteriors of the house. The theme is there. It has a unifying theme. It's got a lot of good detail in the exterior. The interior could have been better though, because I'll just show you an example right here. Go inside, and there are interior designs inside, but there should be a second floor because you put windows up there. There should be a second floor. And the other thing is, they aren't connected by some sort of road. So what do you expect? Would the citizens of this town just walk through the snow, the sloping snow? Of course not. They're going to have to be moving around on the road. So I wish he put a road design all the way around. But I like the house designs nonetheless. Pretty good. Over here, you have a bit more. You have some more houses. I like the way that he scattered the houses as well. Like, it isn't just clumped. I mean, I like the way that the previous one was clumped in one area, but this one, I like the way that it's scattered all the way around the mountain. But I wish there were roads. Probably the nth time I said that. This one, I'm not sure, but I think this is his gingerbread house. I think it is. All of his houses actually look like a gingerbread house. No interiors though, which sucks. But it looks pretty good on the outside. No, this is his gingerbread house. It actually reminds me of one of the houses in a recent AdoboCraft contest, which is Mongji's gingerbread house, and it's got almost the exact same exterior. The interiors, though, he did something else because Mongji's was just blank. This one, he did some fancy library in it, which is pretty cool. More houses there. The houses are really good in this one. I like the exterior. Interior could have been better, but exterior is really top class. More houses there. And I'm just going to go here because this is the main part of the build. Aside from the wonderful houses, he actually had a pathway going up this grand staircase that leads all the way to the very top of the town. And as you can see now, it's nighttime, and I don't mind it being nighttime because this is one, like Chester's, this is probably up there as one of the best towns at night because of the way the candy canes are Christmas lamps. Christmas tree, this is the best Christmas tree we have, undoubtedly. It's the perfect shape, the perfect size, and the gifts in the bottom, pretty good. Parole, one of the best because he found a way to make it a very cool looking park. He has a nice parole design, but he also made a bit of a second parole in the bottom by making it uh, the plaza by which to put the parole. And it's realistic as well because it's not floating, it has a support. So you have the best tree, you have one of the best paroles. The church, though, is where I'm having problems because I expected much better. Uh, it's a bit mediocre. I mean, inside, it's just like the interiors didn't have much thought into it. Outside, it doesn't have that wow factor. But anyway, I'm just going to focus on the strength of this build, which is that it has the best Christmas tree, it has the best parole, it probably has the best looking houses in terms of the exteriors. My only comments though is that I wish it were better planned, like there should have been a road going around the houses, and I wish your church was much better. That's the only letdown I have. But other than that, Shaku, I remember him from a lot of Pinoy Craft contests. He never really finished in top 3, but he might actually go into the top 3 with this kind of build, so he did really well. There's even a little fountain here which I missed out on talking about. But anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. That was Gawang Pinoy Craft. So thank you for watching. I hope you all had fun, and even if there weren't a lot of people who built in this competition, it was really one of the best Gawang Pinoys that I've ever judged because it's so hard to pick a winner. I love it when I'm having that problem that I'm having a hard time picking a winner. And I also have co-judges here, which you will find out. I already posted it. It's JJ and Mong. They're going to have their own scorecards and they're going to judge the builds. So it's not just me and Chico for once. It's a bit spread out. That's how hard it is to judge this competition. So anyway, thank you for giving me such a wonderful time with Gawang Pinoy this round, and I hope to see you in January with another Gawang Pinoy craft contest. I mean, a Gawang Pinoy contest, I have to say. And the only thing I'm gonna ask is, when do you want the next Gawang Pinoy contest? Because do you want it early January when you guys are still in vacation mode, or do you want it in the middle of January like all the Gawang Pinoy contests have been in the middle of the month? So please let me know in the comments. And overall, that's it. Thank you guys, and I really hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all the best for the next year ahead. Take care.